be seeing the Marcian.
I'm a little bit sold because their proposition is so strong, and they kind of forced this Weaver because, you know, Weaver was the only carry that could, like, deal with this lane without dying a bunch if they played well, right? But then you don't have a carry that scales as much. So I feel like Marcy and Dawnbreaker can both match that speed. It almost seems like your win condition is half Ember, half Weaver, like it's a dual win condition kind of lane or kind of game, and Marcy and Dawnbreaker can fulfill that. By the way, we were questioning this before the draft, asking if they were using a stand-in. And in fact, Tanner is going to be the stand-in. So it's 5-up was the original 4 of the team, of course. So point. Tanner will be standing in for this game.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, and that's why I was wondering, because the name was My Money Don't Jiggle Jiggle, and there's no way someone that's not British had that.
What do you mean?
Because
I mean, they could just be a Zoomer.
So My Money Don't Jiggle Jiggle is a meme where they asked Louis Theroux. Louis Theroux is a famous documentarian, right, in the UK, and he was in a radio program where they actually taught him how to do a freestyle rap, and that was the rap he wrote. And it goes, wait, I have it here just in case. It's My money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. I like to see you wiggle wiggle for sure. It makes you want to dribble dribble, you know. Riding in my Fiat, you really have to see it. I swear that's the first chorus. It's amazing.
I don't think
it's one of the best. Louis Theroux, actually a great rapper.
I don't think you're aware that this is like the biggest TikTok trend right now.
Is it really?
Yes, that's why I said TikTok. And you.
I watched the original. I don't know.
All right, Grandpa. I'm sure you had it on your VHS tapes. You got it on Betamax. I know. It's okay. It's okay, Oliver.
I mean, he did it like a dating show or something. I'm pretty sure. It was awesome. It was a good rap.
That's correct. Yes, that has been. It might even already be a long lost fad, to be completely honest with you. But it is a very good rap. Yeah.
How old am I?
Too old, I guess, man. So here we go.
Well, I was very excited to share this fact.
Yes, he actually was. I thought it was going to be something more than just you reading. I could have told you that. I don't even have TikTok and stuff.
Well, the Louis Theroux story is the interesting part, right? The rap is not that interesting.
I'm also very interested.
He's at the commentary. It's like, imagine David Attenborough freestyled, right? That's the equivalent for British people of Louis Theroux.
Does David Attenborough not freestyle over March of the Penguins? Did he not do the entire thing? Did we watch it?
My penguin don't jiggle jiggle. It folds.
It waddles.
It waddles.
Well, what I was more interested in, to be honest, more so than British documentarians at the current state, was how this duo core of Marcy and Dawnbreaker is actually going to play out. I'm not super confident in it, to be honest. And it actually is going to be, as a result, level 1 Boars, which I didn't expect to see either. Holy Persuasion taken, and yeah, that'll be that.
So, yeah, I was interesting as well. I was about to comment on that. Why go Boars and wait for the Holy Persuasion to be used, and now have to keep your Boars so far away?
Oh,
right?
And now you're disposed. But that's not too big a problem.
Fine.
Yeah, it's free damage though. Really, is what it is. Not bad.
He even went for the initial Sage match, which is the popular build these days, to spam axes, right? Because now it's the same mon at all levels.
Built into Vlad's anyway, right? This top lane, by the way, exactly. This is actually pretty good aggression. Kadaro onto Chessie alongside Odeker. Careful, though. We need a little bit more mana. There it is. Coddle gift mana. 2 more seconds here. Horse is giving chase. Ooh, Kadaro's going to live by the grace of that healing salve. And thanks to the move of Speed Slow, is going to be able to avoid that last little Quill Spray. Tanner is still on the run here. Very fire consumed. Kadaro giving chase as well, but is not going to have the range here for the Nova. Good fights early, and the reason why I was bringing this up, Avo, is because well, this is not the lane I thought it was going to originally be, to be fair, but the Sakuchi nerf still really, really hurting laning stage Weaver, right? 15 seconds at level 1 is pretty brutal here to deal with.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's worse on support Weaver, because carry Weaver can deal with this a little bit better, as Shad dies in the bottom lane to Shiva. This is the first level on Axis. Now the second level, and Chessie dies to Odeker in the top lane. So the lane's not going at all how your rejects were proposing them, and ITV has managed to stave off the early aggression. And even mid is actually going pretty well for Supreme. Dawnbreaker, I would expect, has a little bit of an edge. Maybe not in the earlier levels, but then I would expect the Dawnbreaker to just beat him because it's a melee matchup.
Shad simply gets that kill there. Unfortunately,
did you catch that last one?
I did not. Unfortunately, I can no longer blame the assisted camera because they did fix that. Thank you, Jeff Hill.
No, it's the observer.
Yes.
Right, sorry. I mean you. I meant a generic you. Like, did you observer catch that? Don't worry, we're firing him for the next game. We apologize for that.
Already fired. He's been removed.
He's already fired. There we go. Richie's now taking over camera, so everything he does from now on
got it.
is Richie's
Don't
fault.
worry. Unless I miss another kill,
Right.
and it's not me.
Then it's the Observer
Then it's
who
the
came back
Observer,
again
yeah.
for a second.
The
Yeah.
Dispose. Here's
There's the Dispose down
yeah,
bottom.
the 1-1-1 builds here. The Sampler. My goodness, look at the damage, actually. The Shackle's even being forced out just to make sure Shiba doesn't die. But there's a rebound a little bit aggressively as they steal the Boron over. J4 out of mana after this one. Shiba trying to take down his own boar, but it's a bit tanky when Chen takes it over. Especially with a level 2
It seems
persuasion.
like Shad is. It seems like Shad is building into the same thing that like offlane Marcy builds, minus the armlet, right? But just straight into BKB, which is usually what offlane Marcy does. I thought we were gonna see something like wild. I've seen some carry Marcys and high-level Immortals when the hero first came out, where they were trying out with like Battle Fury, for example, to like just farm a bit faster. But not the case here. Pretty traditional build. Tried and tested it, you could say.
Celeste.
I'm fascinated. Will the Dawnbreaker go Radiance then to like even this out to have some late game, or will it just be like a super fast early game kind of tempo?
I'm not sure.
Or trying to.
And I'm looking at because this 131 build here for Dawnbreaker. Obviously, that's her farming build as she connects the stun, but it also helps her get through this Flame Guard relatively easily. It's a lot of impact damage even on the hammer, and it does 40 EPS, so that'll burn through at least currently a level 2 Flame Guard in just about a second or two, assuming they all hit. Top lane's also.
Oh, what occur? He's gonna eat the Illuminate there.
Well, that he will.
He was about to go to Tanner, but we're seeing the change of Shukuchi really come into play. There was like a couple of kills that if it was the old Shukuchi, he would have gotten the kill, but he just doesn't want to overcommit here because Bristleback can punish him.
And now it's still like a fairly well. There's no points in Inner Beast yet, actually, for Shibe, which means he's not going to be able to take the tower. Early anyway, that you do kind of rely on that alongside usually a Helm or something to do so. But obviously against the Chen, that's simply not going to cut it, as once again there's going to be the boar taken. Already the ulti on over from the mid lane. That's going to be a free kill for Ads, as Ahri will fall. So the first rotation here on the Solar Guardian.
Yeah. Good job. I mean, if you're playing the mid Dawnbreaker, I imagine it's like a mid NP, but weaker in that sense, right? So you're really looking to rotate. If you've ever seen a mid NP, it's very similar. You have to use the early tempo of, I suppose, your global momentum to get those kills, and that's going to be a bit of your farming speed, because you yourself don't farm actually that quickly. Especially if you don't go for the Radiance build that we've seen on carry Dawnbreaker very commonly.
We're doing pretty well, though, I would say, here on Ads. He's going to clear this wagon from the mid lane. A little bit of tower damage dealt. He's not going to be able to fight Supreme, though, for the power rune, which is a haste. So Supreme could luck, to now rotate on over to a side lane. Again, the difficulty for ITB this early game is that the lanes are very strong for your Reach, especially when Solar Guardian is up. That can very easily not only, of course, make it an even 3v3, but also completely turn that gank. Bot lane, I think, could use a gank, though. Because of the just existence of the Chen, I actually think this Beastmaster is going to have a really, really rough early game. Like, I think his lane completely breaks down here because just Chen counters him.
Yeah, that's why he's not going for Helm at all, right? Like, he's just straight into the Vlads, and I'm assuming that's going to be a Wraith Pact this game, right?
Yeah, it'll be the Wraith Pact, almost certainly. Supreme is ganking now, by the way. See if you can find the Chen.
So the way that Supreme. We're going for Shad instead. Much more valuable kill. No points in Searing Chains, though, so Ahri just needs to get closer, and that rebound will stop that from happening. J4 could be another target, but once again, no points in Chains means this gank is a bunch of damage, but needed Shaman to initiate.
And top lane just, they might still try again. J4 taking another small creep. Supreme just looking to apply damage here. Of course, he's maxed the Sleight of Fist, and that's going to be a lot of bonus damage for as many casts as he can get off, but will eventually be recalled back to the mid lane because the DP is threatened for a little bit of a push. And it's on the DB, so just the phase boots first for her. Get that bonus armor online, allowing you to fight a little bit easier, and also cast your Starbreaker much easier in these engagements, these little scrappy fights that are to come. Full Vanguard for Chessie. I think this item's a lot more viable these days, given the buffs to a Crimson Guard, especially because it is a fantastic item to have versus Weaver, thanks to his Geminate attack.
You know, every cast I get into, I hear someone talk about that, and they're like, oh yeah, the Crimson Guard now is like actually kind of viable, and they never build it. And they still do the thing where they disassemble the Vanguard, which I think is fine. I agree with you totally with that point. I think this game particularly, actually, Crimson Guard is really good. I
agree.
But I think it's Van Hood into Crimson Guard, if anything, or just play more traditional Bristle Pack with like a Heaven's Halberd afterwards.
Yeah.
Tanner might die though.
Yes, he is.
They caught him front his hero as well. Tanner
shove him in
is
a
running away
locker.
for now. They actually don't even use the Frostbite there.
Yeah, but Chessie's in trouble.
Chessie is in trouble himself. There's the help from the Dawnbreaker though with a hammer. Ari will die. The residual damage there from the fire. Supreme tried to hurt them with a sleight of fist. In comes Otakar. Not deciding who to go on. They decided to go for the tankier Bristleback, but if they hit him from the front, not so tanky anymore.
Indeed. Good thing he's not called Bristle Front. Otherwise, that might have been an issue there for them. But that is going to be a nice...
Yeah, it's called Mars, actually.
It is. That is called Mars. Very, very good. ITB do a good job there. They mostly defend their stacks. They were scouted. But the important part is that EU Rejects weren't able to really get a lot of utility out from there. In fact, they kind of get rebuked and even take a death here on the Bristle. Yeah, I'm just... Oh, and there's a kill down bottom as well, as Shad is going to unleash here for the first time onto the Beastmaster alongside J4, who closes the gap for a nice little war stomp on the Conqueror. I don't know, man. I think a lot of the buffs to like Eternal Shroud, as well as Crimson in particular, are trying, as well as of course BKB nerfs, right? Probably the biggest deal here, are probably trying to break the mold of every single offlaner in particular must build 2 bracers and then immediately build BKB Blink, you know, and then Refresher. Maybe we actually see it this game. I think it's an interesting thought experiment. I think perhaps as the meta develops a little bit more into the later weeks, we might actually end up seeing a Crimson Guard or 2 in every, not every game, but you know, maybe once a day. Who knows? I think the item is fantastic.
I mean, it does feel like if it's a good Crimson Guard game, you're not building it right. There's an issue with the item. That's what happened with Pipe, right? They're like, oh, this is a great Pipe game, but I'm also not gonna even consider it because it's just too expensive. It's really difficult to balance AoE damage reduction in Dota, as we saw with Wraith.
Yeah, very true.
Otakar will be hit by the Illuminate, forced to time lapse. Can they? They have Viscousness all good, but it's just terrible on Weaver. They need Dawnbreaker to initiate here. J4 is rotating his army though, as is Ari coming by.
Yes, he is. J4 has himself the Ripper, as well as the Conqueror. We'll see what they can get done as Chessie's hoping to try and push with this wagon, second wagon of the game. Needs to clear the Swarm Beetle, however. As Tanner is going to clear the wave, at least with the Illuminate. That should be enough space for Chessie. ITB again. Certainly, I would say making the right decision here, right? EU Rejects with incredible laning prowess, especially now out of the laning stage. They are simply the stronger team.
Yeah, and I like as well that they abuse the fact that because of the Chen, right, Beastmaster did not go for Helm on the Dominator, the right choice. Sorry, and that, of course, made it so that they could actually leave bottom lane, and Beastmaster can't just take it over in a matter of seconds like he used to if he had Helm of the Dominator, right? So they abuse this dynamic a little bit, and they abuse the Chen effectively. And now, what ITB has to do is they have to rotate a fair amount of heroes to make sure they take bottom with a Catapult Wave. Tanner's coming in to defend this. Shad's still hero as well. He'd actually want to fight.
Dawnbreaker has an ulti. There it is.
It's an impact. Dawnbreaker coming in, healing this Marcy, a fair amount of Marcy. They'll still be in trouble. Shackles are lasting a really long time. Force fight on top of that. In the freezing field, Shad's already dead. Chessie tanking a fair amount of this freezing field, now showing his back over to the rest of ITV as Kidaro realizes he shouldn't have kept dancing there. Even put Supreme in a pickle, who's trying to get away. 2 stacks of Viscous Goo, now a third one applied. Supreme, though, has 2 remnants, and Chessie knows this. There's no way that he dies here.
Yep.
But they will at least defend this bottom tower, and ITB, they got really cocky getting that kill against Marcy, but that Dawnbreaker heal from Solar Guardian, mattered so much because it just allowed Marcy to tank through that hole early.
Yep.
Fight.
And Otakar does the next best thing, pardon me, and he pushes the mid-tier 1 tower. So even though it's not the tower that ITB grouped up for, it's still an objective taken around the map, which is going to buy them a lot of time and give them a little bit of a way back into this game if things start getting a little bit hairy. It is a 4K net worth lead early here for EU Rejects. I think, again, this is not too unexpected given how much they drafted for this, right? But I would certainly say the Dawnbreaker is working out in this early game. Shad as well now on his second death is closing in on the BKB. So, you know, even though he did take a death there, he's not really at his timing. This is still supposed to be played with the tempo of a carry. So we shouldn't expect all that much from him at this stage of the game, at least. And again, even this Bristle, who is going to be going for the Axe build, is going to have a really powerful timing here. So ITB, they got to be ready for this.
Yeah. I do think ITB, though, have the advantage that all these builds seem like very much early game oriented, right? So they will be able to recover a little bit later. As I'm talking about this, they're going for a Chen kill. His Zoo is almost more important than him, honestly. But you gotta kill him, otherwise the Zoo gets healed. And Otakar realizes this is a bit too far. He just goes back.
And Otakar and Kidaro, especially Otakar now with Maelstrom,
bottom lane.
do a fantastic job. This is a deep dive.
It is to dispose. They combine that with Dawnbreaker's hammer. Solar Guardian to heal up a bit more. Dawnbreaker gets the stun off, and that's Supreme dead. With one last set of axes, they kill off ads, but Shibit will die for this too. That Wraith Pact really came into play as he got the last set of axes as a result. But still well played, I would say, by EU Rejects.
Yeah, indeed. Dawnbreaker does die, which is going to be a little bit unfortunate, but it does keep Shad alive, and Shad continuing to farm now. Again, towards that BKB, that's going to be his big item this game. Dawnbreaker is also closing in on her BKB. As a hero that does benefit, my goodness, look at this Chen army. This is absolutely massive. Pardon me. And he's got a mech now, so lots of healing for the EU
Chessie
Rejects.
up top.
Oh, yes, they get him.
Yeah, sorry, they closed him in snakes and they shackled him, and then that was Chessie. And Otakar did this really cute thing where he like hit him and turned around a little bit clockwise around the bristleback, seeing what point was the weakest, and he found it. It's the front, Richie. Surprise.
He did find it. Again, his name is not Bristled Front, and ITB certainly learning that this game. But Dawnbreaker,
this is the dumbest joke we've done in a long time.
I don't know what you're talking about. We have lots of dumb jokes. It's really hard to top them.
Oh, look at that skeleton armor.
I know.
Oh,
yeah.
Farm! Oh,
no, they're gonna get the Dark Troll as well here. Yeah, he's going absolutely nowhere. The Maiden Frostbite
they got the Ogre too.
Does great work there. That's the entire Chen army dead. Oh, except for these two actually.
No, he had two.
Another Dark Troll summon.
The generals are still alive, right? It was the foot soldiers that died.
That's right.
And the general's brother who got there through nepotism didn't really count.
Tower mid's gone, and it does enable ITB to play a little bit more aggressively, as we can see. Again, with the Dawnbreaker having ulti shortly, though, it would be ill-advised to take a full 5-on-5 fight. Now with Chen ulti, Dawnbreaker ulti, Chen having the mech, right, the healing is certainly going to be overwhelming. But the scary part to me, at least, if I'm ITB, is that I know that these BKBs are going to be online shortly. There's actually going to be a really nice dual BKB timing. Dawnbreaker is going to disassemble, she should anyway, disassemble the Echo Saber, and Marcy's going to have her around the same time. So there's a big timing coming.
I think this is one of the impact that Dawnbreaker does have in the game. One of the most positive things, in my opinion, is that she makes all solo ganks seem scary, right? You can't gank people alone because Dawnbreaker might just come and heal them. Oh, Supreme doesn't seem to care. He's going for the Chen, but it's because he has a...
Oh, he's going to die?
Oh, he's just going to die. Okay, well, I guess my point stands, so that one had nothing to do with Dawnbreaker. Supreme just underestimated the Marcy. But the whole point is that if ITB makes plays here, they might just get counterplayed, and that's not the ideal situation. So they're in a moment where they want to make plays because the BKBs are about to come out, but they also can't because they might just fail like they did here and give an extra edge to EU Rejects when those BKBs come out. So it's just a paralysis, right? Paralysis by analysis.
And they are really close, actually, to kind of a nice combo breaker item. I hear a Vessel, and that is going to be for Kidaro. He might die to this. Not quite.
They're going rogue.
21 charges. Oh, wow, that was a very fast Rosh as well. Ari, he's having a really tough time. He could have been the combo breaker. He's approaching the X or the Blink Dagger timing. There's at least a quick kill onto Tanner. And now the Dawnbreaker being held in place, but Chessie closing the gap, even committing the roar, not allowing any of the heals to come through. Hand of God not committed either by J4, who is now trying to TP away, but will be cut down. To EU Rejects, take the Roche, but lose the fight to follow. So ITB showing a bit of fighting prowess. And now, Avo, that is going to be Blink Dagger flying its way towards Ari, which is great against these early BKB timings. Allows you to be a little bit more aggressive, especially with Max Hex and Shackles builds, with very little lockdown that EU Rejects have to play with. This could be detrimental.
And that's also because, again, the Dawnbreaker is their save when these things happen. Like, when someone gets locked down, it has to be Solar Guardian that saves you. Because Chen can heal you, and that's fine. Cuddle can exist.
He can but, heal you as well a little bit, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And you need that Solar Guardian. And if they catch Dawnbreaker precisely, then you're kind of screwed. Shad can also do this, but this is where I wasn't really trusting the Marcy carry, because if you're the one who's there to break the shackles, for example, then you put yourself in harm's way, and you're the carry, so you're the main damage dealer. You can't die first.
Yeah, and that is true, but I could see a team fight kind of, you know, if this is the way they drew it up, right? Chessie being the big tanky lad out in front with Ag Scepter, just spitting on everyone, making it very undesirable to go on him. Eventually, you know, they have to make the play. Ari makes the jump, hopefully before he has the Hex break talents, and that's when Marcy goes in, deletes him, right? She is going for this basher next, right? So it could even just bash him there. But there's BKB1 finished off. off, and this is BKB2 going to be finished as soon as Ads gets the recipe delivered. Now with this Aegis, I'm not sure exactly how much EU Rejects needs to get out from this first Aegis, but considering that they do have a Marcy carry, you know, just a bit unproven to me, at least on the professional scene, I would say they want to at least get 2 tier 2s with this. I don't know.
I mean, even 1 tier 2 would be okay, right? First, the tier 1 mid has to fall.
Yeah.
That's for
and
sure.
they've got that one.
And then
now.
once that's done, yeah. Once that's done, because it's not just the Aegis, right? Richie, we're talking about Aegis plus the BKB timings. So it's a combination of everything that I think should require, like you said, at the very least 1 tier 2 and the domination of the enemy jungle.
Straightforward. Going to be caught here. They're going to get rid of the Swarm Beetles. Odeker really wants to get this kill. Did force out the mech. So a little bit of utility wasted there simply for the ulti. Odeker as well with the BKB, so he feels relatively safe here on the Carry Weaver. And speaking of Carry Weaver here briefly, Supreme's going to be okay down here.
Yeah, speaking of Carry Weaver.
Yeah, this is a hero we're starting to see more of. I've always kind of doubted the prowess of a Carry Weaver, especially when it's picked into traditional counter. Hold that thought.
Nope, top
Breaker.
lane. Yeah, and then with a Swarm, it seems like once again Ads is in trouble. There's the Hand of God, a little bit of save they had, but Blinding Light came a little bit too late, and Ads is already dead. Odeker wants to continue this. He's been dusted though, so they do see him. Activates the BKB, but realizes there's too many heroes nearby. He's just going to retreat with a TP. Are able to do the same thing. Nice little blink there.
Yeah.
And ITB is managing to find pickoffs, particularly on the Dawnbreaker, which is the ideal target for them right now. So really well done.
Absolutely. What you said rings completely true here, right? And ITB certainly recognizing that. You cannot go for a pickoff play against Dawnbreaker's teammates because it'll simply turn into a team fight, and that's going to be a bit too difficult for you to deal with. So what do? Is you gank the Dawnbreaker, and that's why I brought up the importance of the Shaman, right? He's the one to enable this, especially with his own Blink Dagger, and this is, in my opinion, potentially like a game-losing action that he's taking here for EU Rejects, or game winning, I suppose, for ITB would be more apt, because he is completely destroying this timing that we're saying. The double BKB and all this stuff, it's being delayed ever so slightly. Nonetheless, we'll still see EU Rejects get to work on this top tier 2. Fortify, not likely to save it. In fact, they even counter Fortify. So the best move ITB are going to make is at least push bottom. Don't expect EU Rejects to take a fight here, but Supreme did TP on in. He's got a Remnant, so they should get a kill. And in fact, Chessie's just going to focus down the tower, so that's 1 tier 2 down. And a courier kill. That was the BKB for Supreme. A little bit of miss micro there.
Wow. Yep. He probably forgot about it, you know. Cores just don't care about anything but themselves, that includes their couriers. Just throw their pets away.
Shame.
Shame indeed. Did you know every year, Richie, thousands of couriers get killed because their carry is not looking?
That's probably extremely true. I would assume it's true. I mean, thankfully...
If you donate to my personal bank account, I will make sure that none of this happens anymore. Yeah. Even a small donation of $20 can help one courier in need.
A small donation of $1 million.
If we all donate $1 million, I will eventually not have to work anymore.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they got it with a hook.
Is that BKB?
But there's no problem.
Yeah, it's just for the tower, which is good. Only Chessie's able to TP on over. Of course, that is 2 cores of the 3, and with the global spells that EU Rejects have, they could easily start a fight relatively quickly. But first Aegis is now reclaimed. It is at least that 1 tier 2 tower like you spoke about. With the courier dead, containing the BKB for Supreme for another 90 seconds, I don't expect ITB to be fighting immediately here, which does widen this window, I would say, for EU Rejects to get a little bit more efficiency out from their early game heroes. But this is where I would start to say, Abo, things start to shift slightly more for ITB during this non-Roche timing. Second Aegis is going to be the next biggest point, but I think ITB can reasonably fight into this now.
Yeah, not egregiously so, because once again, Carry Weaver, right? Which is okay, but certainly not the it's not Dusa, right? Where at one point you just kind of win the game. And I will say it's a little bit cheating, because though EU Rejects did take a tier 2, and that's what we talked about, they also lost a tier 2. So it was kind of even, if anything. Really well played by ITB, I will say. Avoiding fights completely, taking advantage of the really good poke and prod, and their kind of split pushing abilities, and their mobility. And they managed to equalize the map. So they haven't lost map control whatsoever, despite the enemy team having Aegis. Or at least they've traded map control, you could say.
Yeah, exactly.
And this benefits them.
Exactly, yeah. They're okay with that because they didn't want to fight into that double BKB, Aegis timing. That's just about impossible, basically. Suicide, honestly, to fight into. Even with these relatively mobile heroes that don't have many counters. You simply just don't have the damage as they...
I think the whole point of this, though, depends on will they be able to fight the late game? And honestly, the answer to is I don't know, because Marcy's unproven, right? I don't know how strong she can scale, especially compared to a Weaver. Are they actually weaker in the late game?
Oh,
maybe not,
Chad?
right? Maybe EU Rejects can take this.
Gonna get roared. Shiba just looks to run.
Oh, so fast.
Yeah, he did use the drums as well for that. They're maybe even looking to turn, because Supreme is here. It's a dire outpost, which means they're taking this fight, but it's gonna be first blood here in favor of EU Rejects as they get through the maiden first. Dive-Bomb Hawk is good with Supreme being focused. Ari's gonna go ahead and blink on in and sacrifice himself as he drops the Serpent Wards. Otakar now is in. Oh, and he's not life-stealing enough off this, but does have the ulti to play with. Shad Basher on the way. Did not manage to find that kill onto Otakar, who now does not have BKB anymore, but ITB still looking to fight. Supports are dead. They feel like they've got the advantage here, Avo.
Yeah, they go for Chessie next, but the Dispose does catch the Ember Spirit. Now with the Solar Guardian stunning him further, Supreme is dead. That shard from Ads really coming into play. Shibe has been stopped here. They have a Marcy yet again. That's going to be slowing him down. Dispose also available. First shoot the sidekick. Dispose not even needed. They're saving it for Otakar. That's the kill they want. Kidara can only come in with a Frostbite, but the BKB Ads will stop that from happening. At least Otakar's capable of making it out with the Shikuchi. ITB, they thought that was their fight, but the Solar Guardian quickly showed them it was not.
Yeah, it was certainly not, and surprised that they take that fight like...
Oh, Kidaro? One more kill?
Seems like it.
They have a rebound. Yeah, Kidaro's dead. We still have the rebound, right? Sorry, the Dispose.
Yeah.
So he's just gonna die to a crit. Wow, that's huge crit.
They did buff that crit actually on Dawnbreaker in 731D.
Oh, he went for the talent as well.
Yep. You get that little... It's still 20% more, it was. So now you even get a little bit more critical strike damage. So not bad at all. So that crit is finally doing something. And again, I'm just surprised that they being ITB, want to continue taking these fights after both supports are dead. I would have thought they would have called it there, because if you looked at what was still in the tank here at this stage here, we've already used for ITB the Primal Roar. This is the BKB now for Ember Spirit that's about to wear off. You're not fighting around your Serpent Wards anymore, and if you take a look at those green triangles, EU Rejects still have the Dawnbreaker ulti to play with, which is the big turning point here. You know, I think they didn't really give enough respect for that, to be completely honest, and ITB, they get close, but just slightly misjudge how powerful they were there.
Yeah, it's also the difficulties of their draft, where their draft is much more of a pick-off and poking draft than it is a teamfight draft, because Beastmaster doesn't really bring that to the table as an offlaner. Compared to Bristol Black, who just presses Q, W, Q, W, and that's his teamfight contribution, and it's incredible. So they are struggling in these 5-on-5 engagements. It's much harder for them to take. There's the Shackles, but it's going to be stopped immediately by the Marcy. Oh, Hex, well done. She didn't have the BKB, but it doesn't really matter. Solar Guardian coming to save him. As Shad is looking for the kill here on Supreme. Supreme at a Remnant plus the BKB.
On Otakar.
Otakar might be the target, and this blink by Ads on point.
And the Dispose.
As he blinks right, the stun hammer is going to come out. The Dispose also putting Supreme in a pickle, and they're going to both get killed.
That's beautiful.
All right. EU Rejects is cracked, as you'd say. They're playing really well.
And that's what I mean, right? Like, when I was talking about how I think this Marcy can still play off of Chessie, like, that was kind of one-to-one how I drew it up earlier, right? Chessie stands in front. You eventually send in... okay, there's at least a kill. You eventually send in the Shaman to do something against him, and then Marcy goes in to save him, and the fight breaks out around them. Like, that's literally one-on-one what I said earlier, and I think ITB, they ought to recognize that's going to be a little bit of a bait here in the early game. Kidaro able to TP out. Shiva with a haste should have no problems getting out either. I mean, it just felt like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? You lost the team fight before. EU Rejects coming into that fight with momentum, and you're just unable to get it. ITB, they certainly have damage, and it's starting to come online. Not really from the Ember, who only has Maelstrom, but certainly Weaver is going to be getting here shortly, especially when he gets his Lincolns up. He can actually reliably get it out, but EU Rejects simply just the stronger team right now as far as their spells, their heroes. Like, it's not a...
And this tri-core lineup, it seems to be working because they just have so many cores. It's overwhelming, so it doesn't really matter if their timings are what we described or not, right? Yeah. Like, they just have a tri-core versus essentially Weaver plus 2 supporters, which is not as good. And we didn't really talk about this timing, but I actually think the shard on Dawnbreaker plus that blink dagger was a huge power spike that I wasn't really considering. The capability of blinking on the stun hammer, you know, the last hit of Starbreaker, really changed the teamfight around for EU Rejects.
Very good point. Yeah, very good point. Especially having that immunity, right, the entire time, being the...
Yeah. That shard is one of the best shards in the game, in my opinion. Dawnbreaker just kind of sucks, but that shard is really good.
It is. It certainly is, especially now with the crit you get to even a little bit more damage. Definitely trying to bring a newer hero into the fold. Chessie just taken
Yes,
up.
It's only been 2 years.
And again, they give Aegis here to Chessie right on second Aegis and not to Shad. So seems to be very much the game plan is just force ITB to try and engage here onto the Bristle. I would have assumed with ITB's mobile cores being Ember and Weaver, and given how hard it is actually to catch them, I thought they'd be able to try and engage around the Bristle. But right now, seemingly not an issue, or not really a strategy open, as EU Rejects just continue to send Chessie in with plus 417 damage to just absolutely maul these barracks. Here go ITB. Let the smoke play.
That's not even with level 25 talent. That's actually ridiculous.
Yeah. Barracks deleted. He's got AC
God.
as well. Ari has managed to get around here. Smoke is breaking. They've set up some vision, so now a cliff to fight around. But Ember is still on the other side, as is the Beastmaster. Good positioning here, I would say, for ITB, as now the fight's going to open up onto Bristle. That is the Eye of Scotty as well that Odeker has. He gets off the time lapse, a little bit of a save, but he's still losing this fight. There's Shibe forced to use the War now onto Ads, who still has the BKB. Can they burst him in time? Yes, they can. He's got buyback and ulti if he wants to get back into this fight. So far, not choosing to do so, as Supreme jumping onto J4, who's going to force out the heals. They also get through at least the Coddle. Fight going very well for ITB now, until Ari is left behind. He is cleaned up by Chessie in 3 auto attacks. Fight continues. Chessie looking to go back on in. Still dangerous for ITB again. They could buy back. DB still has their ulti, and she's instantly back in this fight.
That's true, actually. She didn't get to use the Solar Guardian. That's Chessie. He's gonna just lead.
He's gonna follow.
I mean, this is the proposition by ITB was really good in that fight, which is backdoor them, right, and just kind of kill the backlines. Great job. But unfortunately, Burst back is unkillable whether you kill supports or not at this point. And Chessie's the real carry at this point.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he certainly is. Shad is here for a little bit of follow-up. Certainly the catch and like initiation. Chessie, again, he initiates by just standing there, lets the enemies initiate out him.
Shibe from behind.
Ooh, this is a clever play.
He cut the Chen with a hawk. Yeah, it was okay. Chessie, though, a difficult target. Shad walks in. There's no BKB on him, though. The Dispose won't do enough. If they catch him with the Shackles, they could kill him right now. The Blinding Light giving him a little bit more space from Aurora, though, to keep him in place. And that's going to be Shad going away as they do kill Shiv as a result. Not too bad.
Oh,
the next target,
he didn't time lapse.
It was thanks to that hairball, which surprised him. Chessie has enough phlegm to kill everyone in ITB. And it does seem like EU Rejects will only be losing their carry here. Dawnbreaker is also
There's no buyback.
back.
That's game.
No. Oh, yeah, it's only Ember and CM. You're right. Shaman has to buy back and sacrifice his life just to delay this.
It seems about impossible. I mean, they're getting him quite low here, but this is only his first life, and there's going to be a Basher. He's got Abyssal in his second. Solar Guardian now on the way in. It's not going to stun Supreme here.
Oh, Kidaro.
Oh, okay, he's okay for now. He's got no blink available. Good Searing Chains holding back Chessie. Solar Guardian, though, slowing Maiden to even more of a crawl than she usually crawls at. As Chessie, again, he's low, but has Aegis still. Ari's going to drop those Serpent Wards just to try and force him away from the structure, buying time for the Weaver to respawn, for Shiba to respawn as well, so they can make this a more even fight. Even without Shad, EU Rejects still incredibly strong during this push.
Supreme still has Remnant, so they know they can't quite kill him, and there's always Remnant behind him just to protect him. Ari's now back, so they could hold someone down for quite a while with Shackles. They're waiting out this Aegis. 36 more seconds is what they gotta wait for Chessie to finally be able to die.
Yep.
Supreme, once again, that's the last Remnant, I believe. No, he has one more that he just got here. And EU Rejects will decide to retreat. There's the TP, though, by Supreme. He wants to catch whoever's slowest, but Supreme decides that might be too dangerous.
It's impossible. There's literally no words on the map right now for ITB. They've such is the state of the game, right? They've just kind of been forced to turtle against their will. Weaver, you know, he's got a lot of carapace, but not really enough to be an effective turtler, this guy. And this is going to be just a continuation of the push. There's Aegis reclaimed, full mana, full HP now for Chessie. And ITB, they're going to smoke off of this Avo. They're going to try and find themselves a fight elsewhere around the map. Kadaro at least giving them a fighting chance with that D-ward, and that's going to force EU Rejects further back. They likely know that there's a smoke coming. And in fact, Shad is just standing right on top of Chessie with the Invis Rune ready to dispose him at a moment's notice. And instead now EU Rejects going to look for a fight themselves. ITB, their tier 2 towers. Do they have any other big items here that's going to help them through it? Doesn't really feel like it. It just feels really difficult to find the perfect engagement. And Seems like Kadara the only one holding now underneath the tier 2 tower. Marcy giving chase, might.
Oh, shit.
Wow, that mobility was something else there with the rebound talent taken at 15. But they don't quite catch Kadaro. Weaver is trying to sneak around from the side. Ari's going to join him now with the spider legs.
It's the play. They gotta break apart this fight. They gotta make sure that Chen
There
dies
goes Odeker,
first.
but they've scouted him.
Odeker. He's been found, and then with Marcy with a bastion, they stopped Odeker for a second. That was the Unleash committed for this. Now the Solar Guardian healing back Jesse, who's keeping the rest of the team at bay. Shimmick could be in trouble. Missile Blade destroys him. Odeker still looking for the kills from behind. J4
they're on to Ember.
Use the hand of God. Mechanism as well.
Woo.
He's J4. He's going to die from behind, but Supreme, that is a result. Odeker, he's out of Shikuchi's here. They have any stuns. Finally, Shikuchi comes up. Cooldown. The Vessel, though, will prevent this healing, and now Odeker is done for. One last crit from Ads will send him to the grave as ITB. They've lost 2 other cores. 1 at least had buyback. Sorry, 3 other cores. 1 at buyback. Now 2 are still dead.
Yep. Chen is dead at the very least. There's going to be a Shackles instantly cancelled.
No.
Shad on the way and deleted there. They're on to Kadaro as well, who's at least able to let it go a bit longer thanks to the grace of the Ghost Scepter, but that won't last long.
It's over.
He's going. He's gone. And Odeker going. And he's going to at least get off a time lapse, but Shad immediately blinks after him. Going to dispose him into the rest of his team. And there is going to be the GG call. It's EU Rejects. They find their first victory versus ITB in a fast fashion.
I mean, I guess 35 minutes is pretty fast. I think that was a really, really good performance by EU Rejects, to be honest.